Hi, everyone. Another day closer to a winter storm that's going to be impacting our area. And there's still some uncertainty. We're going to explain that uncertainty. But I'm going to keep it a nice, relaxed, let's just say, even keel, not angry, not annoyed. Um, Facebook Live update. We're going to be chill here. So, yeah, we do have the potential for some heavy snow. There's a lot of questions about how much snow. There's a lot of questions that still remain, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And we're going to express that uncertainty, but let's just get into it right now. Significant snowfall is coming. How do we know this? Well, it's pretty rare for the National Weather Service, not only in one location, but multiple locations, to say, you know what? We're issuing the winter storm watch already. It's Tuesday, folks. That's 3 days out from a winter storm. And they have enough confidence, and I agree with it, because models are very consistent in showing snow. They're not consistent in showing how much snow. But heavy snow totals ranging over 4 inches area wide, with light ice accumulations too in the river valley. So this is going to be adjusted. So what is winter storm criteria? It's 4 inches of snow expected. Now, here's the thing. And I had one of my friends that said, I don't like being on the northern end of the winter storm watch if you love snow. So this is what we mean by uncertainty. That cutoff for snow to heavy snow and from snow to no snow is pretty quick the farther north you go. So that's why there's uncertainty. The National Weather Service out of Springfield's like, yeah, well, I think we still will get snow, but we might not, get that warning criteria, which, by the way, in southwest Missouri, believe it or not, is actually 5 inches of snow. So the different snow criteria across the country basically match it up. But we'll get into the time frame. I'm going to do this Facebook Live update pretty quick. I'm going to stop it a little before 8. We'll do another one after the 10. I did that cancer luncheon this morning, so I'm going to be sucking down some Baja Blast, I think. I'm going to do the Baja Blast. I'm going to go to the gas station, get me a Baja Blast, get ready to go. I ran on the treadmill today, so I'm good to go. But let's talk about what's happening in terms of precipitation timing as well as this system. But let's just say this system is a ways out. Now, before we get there, there will be a little bit of rain tomorrow morning. Don't be surprised at that. That rain is going to be in the morning hours, and then it clears out. This is not going to be a winter event for tomorrow morning. Don't worry about that. But this system that's off to the west is still quite a ways off to the west. It's starting to organize, though, starting to develop more and more, and the water vapor is beginning to show developing low pressure. Now, keep in mind, this is over 2,000 miles away from northwest Arkansas. So there's still a lot of uncertainty. What are you seeing exactly right here? This is the developing of a very large low pressure system. There's also, if you notice, a lot of Pacific moisture that's going to be streaming in. And models, as you know, and if you've watched me before, they don't handle that very well. So let's get back to, again, this view of the water vapor where we get to see this storm that's beginning to develop. And then we'll show you how the vorticity is looking over time. And then we're going to get into the timing. So I always like to give the big picture. Then we get into the details as much as we can at this point. So here's the winter storm system. You can see that it is organizing, and you can see that it also continues to strengthen. And remember the GFS yesterday, how it wasn't moving in? It's a totally different scenario now. And the GFS model is showing more precipitation too. But there's a look at the winter storm track, and notice there's already energy moving in at 8 a.m. This is something that kind of concerns me, as this lift that's coming in, and models don't handle this well. And with the cold front coming in, there could be some freezing drizzle that develops in the morning hours. So we're talking late morning as temperatures will be plummeting below freezing. And that is going to be the potential for that's going to be the potential for a little bit of freezing drizzle, which could cause some issues on the roads before the snow begins. I don't think you see that in the forecast, but that's because models don't usually show that 3 days out. They don't really show it 2 days out either, and sometimes not even one. Nevertheless, there's all this energy moving in, and look at this system. Not only that, but it combines with the polar jet. Gosh, there is so much energy, folks. This is a big one. I'm going to say that again. This is a big one. I do think snow totals will be impressive. I can't say, I know people are asking 12 inches, 18 inches. That's extreme. Could it happen? It could with this system. I mean, history tells you that only one or two of those storms happen, per about 10 years. Yes, we had the big one on February 9th, 2011. I had a lot of people eloquently let me know that, hey, you were wrong about that. And yes, we forecasted 3 to 6, and that was a freak of nature storm. We do have very cold air that's coming in. And so the snow ratios, we'll talk more about that, going to be greater than 10 to 1. And that's something that a lot of Weather Service employees also very, greatly, let me know about and reminded me of. And it's a great reminder. It's a very helpful reminder that models typically show a 10 to 1 ratio. We can go on BuffKit and we can alter those ratios to get a little bit of heavier snowfall. So anyways, there's the system coming in. How does this all translate to precipitation? Here's what we're going to do is show you the wide view for those that are traveling across the country. I will take the camera off the screen, and this basically will show you precipitation Friday evening and into Saturday morning. Some people are asking too about it will be a dry snow. We'll get to that in just a bit. It will be a very dry snow. So not a great packing snow, not a great snowball fighting snow either. And there was a question of about, let's see here. Watch the sugar intake. I know, but I did hit the treadmill. I was running at 9 miles per hour for 2 miles, just cooking. So that was good. Where was it? And we will get to the cold as well. Okay, right. I'll wait till Thursday, Friday evening to really pay attention. I think you should pay attention now, Christina, because cold air is very likely. This is what I was looking for. Hydra. When do you think they will update the winter storm watch to a warning? I personally think that's going to be happening as we get into, I would say, Thursday night. But considering that they put the winter storm watch out Tuesday, they could already have it out Wednesday, 48 hours in advance. It's just astounding to me that they issued that winter storm watch this far out. I was surprised. I thought it would come out tomorrow. And we just kind of got popped with it and all across the country, but all across our area. So let's go back to this timing. 5 o'clock, starting to see snowfall. This is not when there will be major impacts. So there could be a little bit of snow, and it will accumulate pretty quickly. But we're looking at mostly, like we said, precipitation that's just beginning around noon to 5 o'clock. This is going to increase pretty dramatically. Now, I know, models can also slow down. It can be too slow on the timing because they don't get all that extra energy. But this is some widespread precipitation. So the purple that you see, or the blue, depending on what color you look at on your screens or your tablets or your mobile devices, this is all snow. This is a mix, but this is not showing all freezing rain. This is mostly sleet right here. The freezing rain corridor will be a little bit farther south. Remember, there will be 2 corridors in terms of that mix. There'll be rain to freezing rain, and then there will be a sleet mixture. That's probably going to be a pretty narrow band considering this is a pretty strong cold blast. That is all snow. It'll be snowing like crazy, I think, Saturday late morning into the early afternoon. This is the bulk time of the heaviest snowfall. But remember, yesterday we were talking about that positively tilted trough, and we were mentioning how that positively tilted trough typically is slower. Well, guess what? They've got slower speeds now on the precipitation and how long it lasts. So let's go back here and we'll show you. Saturday evening, you can see that precipitation still lingering, and all the way through Sunday morning. Now we're looking at the end of the winter storm warning at about 6 a.m. But there's a chance that that positive tilt will still have snowfall reaching the ground until Sunday afternoon. So there is your timing. We're talking Friday afternoon, really cranks up Saturday. Saturday evening, I'm still questionable on that Razorback basketball game, but there is one tonight. Next, we're looking at, as we go into the GFS, I'll show you that computer model run, which, by the way, is a lot different. Okay, so Ian, who's my hair guy? It's Rogaine with minoxidil. I'm not just a club member. I'm the president. No, I'm just kidding. I've got Clint Thomas from Crown Barbershop does my hair, and this actually is after working out. Didn't take a shower, but go check him out if you live in the Northwest Arkansas area. Crown Barbershop, right off of one of the roads, Spring Street, I think. They're pretty cool dudes. So let's go back to the GFS, Jeremy. So can it go farther south or farther? Absolutely, it can. You saw the system, how far it was. It's 2,000 plus miles away. You think the models are going to perfectly get the track of the system? No, absolutely not. Now, here's a look at what we've got. You'll see widespread precipitation that's developing. 3 o'clock into the afternoon, into the evening. Remember the GFS? By Saturday night or Saturday late morning, it already had the precipitation moving out. But look, we've got more snowfall continuing. And look, this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. And look, it still continues as we go into Sunday morning. And then after Sunday morning, it's still snowing until Sunday evening. So that is clearly a different solution from what the computer models had yesterday, or at least the GFS. But there's an issue. I know you're wondering about snowfall amounts. We will be in the heavy snore. That's going to be me tonight because I am exhausted. But I will say this, that there's heavy snow potential January 23rd through the 24th. It goes right through the central portion of the Southern Plains and the Mid-South. It also includes Southwest Missouri, so there's a chance that will be upgraded. Power outages, I'm not exactly buying that. There could be heavy snow that might collapse if it's high enough, but a dry snow isn't as heavy. So I don't think essentially that there's going to be a lot of power outage issues. Now for Arkansas and southern Arkansas, you've got freezing rain, so that winter storm watch could get upgraded to an ice storm warning. Most likely it's supposed to hit Friday afternoon. So I think Friday afternoon is when it starts. That's the onset of it. But we know, I know, I'll be looking at the radar, you'll be looking at the radar, and you'll be going, bust. I don't think it's going to happen. But that's not even the beginning of the system yet. So this is a great example of how the heavy snow swath is going to be right over our area. And so here's Brandon that says high pressure will track farther south and force the heavy snow south. And that's a possibility. But I also know that computer models do trend farther north over time. Here's a look at the winter weather forecasting. Again, we are located right about there. We are very close to 3 days out. Yes, I know it seems like Thursday we're there, but Thursday, Friday, tomorrow is really day one of day 3. So you've got Wednesday, we're 3 days out because Wednesday afternoon to Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon. So that is going to be essentially 2 to 3 days out. So when we're talking about in terms of computer models, remember that, they're released overnight tonight, 0Z. Wednesday will be essentially 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening Tuesday. So essentially day 1 is tomorrow, day 2 is Thursday, and day 3 is Friday. That's how it kind of goes, just like with the Storm Prediction Center. So we're getting close. I think if you're working over the weekend, you're going to have to deal with winter weather potential. I want to show you something that I made today, and this is a probability. So you saw the snowfall, and you saw the amounts. If we look at this is something I think is very interesting. This is the probability of the winter storm warning criteria being met or exceeding that. Now remember, that's over 4 inches of snow. Do you see 100% over Northwest Arkansas? No, you do not. And that's what probability comes into play. There's uncertainty as to the exact track of this low because there will be a heavy snow swath that I do believe will be over 10 inches easily. And I don't know exactly where that's going to be. Most likely, as of now, it looks to be along and south of the river valley. But as far as Northwest Arkansas is concerned, we still have Yeah, we're up there, but we're only 50 to 80%. So it's still very much uncertain. Confidence is increasing, though, but very much uncertain that we do exceed warning criteria. And look at the lower percentage of exceeding warning criteria through Saturday. And remember, there still could be snow falling Sunday, but this only goes out through Saturday. So there's a chance that all this could be upgraded over time. So, I know your generic weather apps are showing, exactly how much snowfall. They're showing the totals. I'm really cautious to do that, to be honest with you. But I would expect, this is what I would expect. We're talking 4 to 10 inches of precipitation, 4 to 10 inches of snow. I think with the liquid equivalent, if we get a half inch, which might be underdone, but if we get a half inch of liquid equivalent, I think the ratio is going to be like 15 to 18 to 1. So that means half an inch of liquid equivalent will be, let's just say 16, and 16 to 1, you take half of that, you get 8 inches. So it's essentially a higher amount. Now, let me show you what I mean by this. This is a great example of snow ratios. I don't think a lot of people understand this, and so I'm going to illustrate this. Let's go to snow ratios here. And it's going to take just a little bit of time to find it. Here we go. Liquid to snow. So typically when it snows, it's right around 34, 32 degrees, sometimes upper 20s. But this is essentially how this all works out. So you'll notice that 1 inch of water. So imagine taking 1 inch of water and converting that to snow. Well, a heavier wet snow, if you're at 34 degrees, 1 inch of liquid equivalent will equal 7 inches of snow. Now, what this means is you got a wet snow. It's compacted. When it snows, these snowflakes are wet, so they stick together. And when they stick together, they compact. And then that creates less snowfall accumulation, and it takes more water content to add up to 7 inches of snow. That's why heavy wet snow is hard to shovel, because it has so much water content to it. We start getting colder and you've got temperatures at freezing, you've got a 10 to 1 ratio. This is why the typical models, which everything that you look at, including Kuchera, snowfall accumulation, all that stuff, we're looking at 10 inches of snow to 1 inch. This is just hypothetical. This is not a forecast. But it shows that 1 inch of water now is actually leading to 10 inches of snow instead of 7. So we're getting drier with the snow. Now, if we get cold enough, which potentially we could get down to 10 degrees and it could be snowing, that could lead to 25 inches of snow. This is what happened, folks, on February 9th of 2011. We had a snow ratio that was extremely high, but you might remember that the snow was very light and fluffy. So to shovel it wasn't too hard. You can even take a snow blower or a leaf blower and literally blow off your driveway, as long as it doesn't freeze in time. But that's what we're looking at. So I think personally, we're right around a 20 to 1 ratio. And when we look at the liquid water equivalent of a half inch, 20 to 1 would give you 10 inches of snow if you have a half inch. Does that make sense? I hope so. But I want to show you another thing here. This is called a plume. And I hope I still have it up. A lot of people are wondering how much snowfall. I posted this on my social media page just now. Nope, that's that is Buff Kit. I'm loading up all that stuff because I wanted to see the models. But let me go back here and load up this plume. Hopefully I didn't close it down. Hopefully I just minimized it. It looks like, aha, all I did was minimize it. So people that are seeing snowfall forecasts as of now, you know what they're doing? They're playing snow total roulette. So when you go gambling, if you've ever played roulette before, what do? You bet on a number, right? You bet on a number and you bet on a color too, black or red. Well, we don't have the option of picking black or red. I guess that would essentially be like looking at precipitation type. Red might be freezing rain, black is snow. We also have to determine the number. And how do you do that? And how accurate are you when you're doing roulette, when you're putting an actual number? Do you hit it sometimes? Absolutely. Do you hit it other times? Probably not. So this is a look at the plumes of the GFS. Now you tell me now, remember, this is a 10-to-1 ratio, so you probably have to add this and make these a little bit higher. But this is the difficulty that we endure as meteorologists. And this is what you are wanting us to tell you how much snow. And keep in mind that this is might not even be correct. So what you're looking at here is essentially total accumulated snowfall of a 10-to-1 ratio. So you could double these numbers, but what does everybody look at? Oh, they immediately go to this line right here, 12 inches. If you're a snow lover, you love this. But this is way up there. There's also a whole plethora of ensembles, meaning spins on the roulette table, that got the wrong number, okay, not the right number. And you'll notice how that's a lot lower. So now you tell me which line it's going to be. I want to know. You know, it's like that's impossible. Look at the uncertainty. These plumes are so far spread out, it's not even funny. It's honestly like a spaghetti model on a hurricane track. The farther out you get, the more uncertainty, because there's a lot of things that can alter and change the forecast. This is just the GEFS plumes for Fayetteville. I do want to look at something, and this is going to be live, and this is going to be in real time, and so bear with me. But we're going to look at something called it's called the Ensembles for the Extreme Forecast Index. All right. So this isn't going to be loaded up properly at the time, but I'm going to get it loaded up properly. So the Extreme Forecast Index is something that the European has that's able to look at the potential that this storm overperforms what the deterministic models are showing compared to climatology. So we're going to load this up because I haven't looked at this, and I always wanted to do that. But, you know, there's only so many things you can look at over time. But we're getting into the time where we can check it out. I know I don't have it loaded now. I will in a second, but I've just got to show you when it's loaded. So it's really slow, by the way. My goodness. Try clearing your cache, or I could try clearing the cache. Let's go here. Come on, load. Of course, it's going to take forever. Well, let's try this. I'll do it on a different browser. Here's some other stuff. All right. Here's some other graphics. I've got some other stuff for you. So this right here is the potential for impacts from this system all across the country. At least some winter weather impacts. You got travel plans, folks? You've got some problems, because this is widespread precipitation all across the area. Not only that, but you're looking at potentially minor impacts, moderate impacts. So definitely some stuff that we have to watch for sure. Is this loaded? Come on. Shift F5. Load up. Well, this used to load a lot faster. Let's try a different browser here. Sorry about this, guys. Want to show something? Of course, it doesn't load. Maybe it'll load on this. Let's see. Doesn't look like it's loading on this either. Maybe eventually one of these days it'll load. Doesn't look like it is, though. Well, anyways, that's a pretty cool site. Let's do some other stuff. Let's look at some Ensemble links. We can look at the GFS model output. That doesn't work either. They're lovely. But what I was looking at was the Ensemble links. And here's the SREF plume. So this is an example of the different types of models. So we're looking at essentially Fayetteville, Arkansas. We'll look at the total snow, and here you get to see all the different model plumes. So yeah, of course, some people are excited about this up here, but it's only one roulette spin that basically that's showing. That's it, one spin. And you guessed the number correctly. You're probably not going to do that again. So you walk away, take your wins, and don't lose all your money. Notice down here, you've got the average of about 3 inches. Now, keep in mind, this only goes out to January 24th, 6 a.m. Fort Smith, probably going to see a little more snow, but no, it actually has less. So these are the SREF plumes that it shows. Okay, one more thing, too. This is the probability of snowfall. So probability is the way to go when you're talking about long-range forecasting. I know the basketball game started. I know I probably lost a lot of people, but how much snow are we going to get? Well, let's look at the probability of over an inch. Yeah, I think that's pretty certain that we'll get over an inch of snowfall. Let's go to 3 inches of snow. You know, that's still not 100% probability. Let me pan down here a little bit. Let me actually zoom out on this so you can see the probability table. So there's a probability table, okay? That doesn't show up either as 100%. But there is some spots over Northwest Arkansas that it is, according to the latest. Let's take a look at 6 inches of snow. Now we're starting to drop a probability because it's less likely for heavy snow. And then you look at 12 inches. Now you saw the European creating some tremendous snowfall. Keep in mind, this is still that 10-to-1 ratio, so we have to change that. And in fact, if we look at the European, and then we check out the winter and look at this is snow depth, by the way. So this will give you an idea. Let's zoom in a little bit. Arkansas. So here's some heavy snow accumulation. It shows 6 to about close to a foot of snow. I think that's reasonable. I do. Now, granted, it shows a lot more falling through Sunday, but still, that doesn't show the 25 inches that I've seen on some of the model plots. But nevertheless, that's quite a bit of snow. And notice how there is a focus right along the river valley, but now that's kind of shifted northward. We can actually look at this too. If we go to something called the model trend loop, which we've done before. But let's take a look here. Since we've got that, let's look at the GFS. Same thing. And now look at the GFS. It has even more snow than it did before. So these models come in, they change, they alter. We know that snow is looking very likely. I couldn't see any of your comments, obviously. I was really far out. I really want to see what that extreme forecast index has, but of course it's not loading. Come on. Maybe because, let me try this. Let me try loading it from, nope. Let's try this here. Let's go back. Let's go to 120, back to 119. Let's see if that will load at least. No, this site's broken. Forget it. All right, so to make a long story short, yes, snow is coming. It will be impactful snow. If you want to know about totals, I think an average range of 4 to 12 inches is going to be very likely. The farther north you go, as of now, probably less snow. The farther south you go, you've got more potential for snowfall. But the liquid equivalent is going to be probably around 16 to close to 20 to 1. That makes a huge difference in the amount of snow. So again, to reiterate, that liquid equivalent is important because think of piling up feathers. You can pile up feathers a lot easier than you can pile up wet snowflakes, wet blankets. You know, it takes more wet blankets to pile up to the same amount as snowfall. I got a lot to do, including get ready for winter weather. I've got a winter weather mode in our stream, and I've got to do a bunch of stuff. So at least the hogs, I guess, are not on ESPN yet. I just mentioned it, Joey. I think 4 inches in Northwest Arkansas at the lower end of the amounts. Higher end of the amounts could be up to a foot in the River Valley and parts of southern Arkansas. And then you got to remember terrain too. Terrain effects as well. Terrain throws this all into a mess. One last thing before I send you on your way and we end this Facebook Live is we've got some cold air too that we're going to be contending with. And I think people don't realize the seriousness of this cold air. So check this out. This is what we've got. First of all, Friday morning, this cold front is going to arrive. And we're talking some bitterly cold wind chills. Notice how not really a problem Thursday night. Friday morning, though, look, we're already dropping below freezing. That northerly wind takes over. This is an Arctic surge of air. We're talking extremely cold temperatures. Look at the wind chills already close to single digits, some places in the single digits. That's not even noon yet. And then the temperature continues to drop as it's snowing. So 20 degrees, we're looking at a ratio of about 16 to 1. And then you can see we get down to 10 degrees. Now remember, it's still snowing. So these ratios could be all off. This could be an extremely heavy snow, more than what we're predicting, to be honest with you. This could be a big one. And we've got below zero wind chills. Now, that's not going to be fun to be out in. Northeasterly winds, that also includes drifts, piling of the snow. And then here's a look at Saturday afternoon. Look, temperature is barely getting into the teens. We're basically looking at single digits. Then you'll notice Sunday morning, or right around, or Sunday morning, we're at about single digits, wind chills below zero. And then we're going all the way down. Look at this. Potentially minus double digits on Monday morning. And that makes sense with a snowpack that significant and a clear sky. Just like February 10th of 2011, we dropped down to 18 below, which was surpassed in 2021 in February with the Valentine's Day cold outbreak. That got down to minus 20. So these numbers, honestly, are probably not cold enough. And that's the actual air temperature. Now, thankfully, the wind is calm, so that allows for ideal radiational cooling, snowpack in effect. Look at the highs on Monday. Now, what's interesting is, look, 10 degrees in Fort Smith. It's showing heavier snow in the River Valley, but it doesn't in Northwest Arkansas. Plus, we got that southerly breeze. Look at how much the temperatures vary. So it is going to be a really, really, really tricky forecast. I think finally by Tuesday of next week, we start to climb above freezing. Yes, that was just the European model, but we've got, again, dangerous icing potential. And we went through this earlier, but if you just missed it, we got dangerous icing potential all across the area in southern sections of Oklahoma, northern Texas. Freezing rain, heavy snow swath, lots of precipitation, lots of upper level energy, lots of lift, lots of cold air. If you're a winter lover, this is your dream. So tomorrow we'll probably have a better idea on the exact path and track of the storm, and we'll try to get the details on the snow totals. I know everybody loves snow totals. It's like it's a chemical in the brain where it just makes like Tommy Boy and Chris Farley like that Jimmy and the JoJo and the Circus Boy. That's kind of what, honestly, it's kind of what it's like. But I get it because that's how you get impacted. So, all right. I'm out, man. Thunder snow, I don't think is going to be possible. It always could be. It's just not the setup for that. So we'll see what happens. But Tommy want chicken wingies. All right, I got to run, man. I think it is trending a little more north, especially with that 18Z European and the GFS. Last time it got super cold, there were outages. I know. I sure hope that we don't lose our power grid. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Woo Pig, go Hogs. Let's get a victory here. Also, we got the game Saturday night if the snow doesn't allow it, if the snow doesn't cancel it. But I will see you guys on the newscast tonight. Peace out. Take care. I'm going to go get that Baja Blast. I'll go chug one for you. Peace. Thanks for watching.